Right, today we're back in my office and we're going to be having a little bit look at a few plans today, something a little bit different. Not quite a tutorial, a bit more of a discussion, and I'm going to be talking about the concealed arrangement in toilets, which is quite an interesting subject. As quite often, quite a few people ask how long toilets have been concealed in this way. Now, basically, concealed means that all the plumbing fixtures and utilities are concealed behind the wall in a passage which runs behind the toilets themselves. It's been quite common, I think, for the last sort of 50 odd years, but how it started still remains a bit of a mystery. A few of these plans help to answer these questions a little bit, but not entirely. Now, in the UK, it's probably been since the 60s especially, most public toilets were always built to be concealed. Not all of them, but quite often a lot of them were, but it actually started quite a few years earlier than that. Now, if you saw my video from the University of London last year when I went to London, I filmed what could have been one of the earliest concealed arrangements in the UK, which is in the Senate House building, completed in 1937. And I'm quite convinced that they'd probably always been concealed there, but it didn't really catch on till I'd say at least 20 years after that. So what we're looking at, we've got two plans here of two schools built in Bournemouth. This plan here is a school that was called South Kingston Junior School. It was later renamed Heathlands Junior School, and then it moved to the infant site. Now the infants was built a year earlier, and that's now Heathlands Primary. As you see down here, the description simply says South Kingston Junior School, a very straightforward design of 1952. And there's 9 classes, one for years 4, well, 3 for years 4, 5 and 6. So you had year 4, year 5 and year 6 up the top. But it might have been the other way around, while years reception to year 3 were at the infant site. All the other parts of the plan state which is which. You've got the assembly hall, dining room, you've got the kitchen unit, you've got staff rooms here, and obviously the classrooms are just straightforward classrooms. On the other side you've got the cloakroom area, which is in a cordon. You can also see you've got a few toilets. Obviously you can work out which one would be the boys' toilets. The boys have 2 WCs and a space for a urinal, while the girls have 6 WCs. But behind them you can very clearly see a little passageway. Now this school, like I said, it opened in 1952. It's probably designed about at least 2 years earlier, so you know, probably designed about 1950. The architect who designed it, obviously he must have been aware that it was possible to conceal toilets, but I very much doubt he invented that arrangement himself. He must have been aware of it taking place someplace else before. I mean, you couldn't just conceal them without the right apparatus. I mean, you'd need the handle to go through the wall to join onto the chain, which is how it generally works. So this obviously goes to show that in the early 50s there were toilets being concealed, and this plan basically is my earliest official evidence of suggesting that. So yeah, that's South Kingston Junior School. I think that building disappeared back in the 90s, so whatever was in there I don't actually know. It's gone quite a few years now, but that's our earliest source at the moment. Right, now the next plan basically shows a school built in 1957, which was the Glenmore School for Girls. It was designed in 1953. The very much more compact building, which with 3 floors, reflects the economics of the day. Designed in 1953, the plan was probably altered and changed quite a bit, but it was completed in 1957. Basically have a basic look around the building. The main entrance is through this arrow here. You've got assembly hall, you've got dining room, kitchen, gymnasium, you've got various classrooms. You've also got quite a few practical rooms. These rooms are called housecraft, which is in a way quite an old-fashioned term, I think. You've got a library on one floor, you've got science rooms, more housecraft. Top floor you've got needlework, geography, art rooms. But if you look the way the building's designed, it's got 2 different sections upstairs. You've got 2 staircases either side and 2 rooms joined together. But the disadvantage is if you were, say, up in this room up here and you wanted to go here, you'd have to either go down the stairs underneath and back up again, or you'd have to take a shortcut through here. It was a typical arrangement in the late 50s, early 60s, but it never really sort of took on from then. But it's quite a well designed building for the time. So we'll now have a look at the toilet arrangements, classed as cloaks, and quite clearly you can see a passageway between them. It's entirely a girls' school, so these will obviously be the girls' toilets, and you've got quite a few on the ground floor. You've got 4 in each little section. Possibly one year had that one, 2 had that one, and another one had that one. And then when you look up on this floor, let the phone configure itself a little bit, you can see again a little space behind them, which is literally just behind there, right in the middle. There's a tiny little space, and not on that one, but up there on the top floor again a little space, a very tiny little space actually, quite interestingly. But and again right above the needlework room there is a tiny little space. So that's another very early source I've managed to get myself, from a school built in 1957. This arrow basically shows it would actually be facing north, but they rotated the plan just for their plan process, well, plan purposes. And we'll have a look at it from above. Let my computer switch on, and it should be coming up, and there we are. That's it from above. I'm using Google Earth again, and it's been extended quite a lot. And next door to it you've also got another school, which is the boys' school, which was built in 1995, and the girls' school also has quite a few extensions. It's got quite a few huts, but the original building looks pretty much as it was when it was first built. So if we rotate it, in the plan it's facing this way, so the main entrance would be through here, the hall, dining room, gymnasium, and so on. We'll have a little close-up look, get in their street view car. It literally goes up quite close, and there we are. You can see the 3-storey building, main entrance at the end, and this would be the side of the gymnasium. Replaced windows sadly, and you can see a bit of a side view. The road was re-landscaped in the mid-90s when they rebuilt the boys' school. Well, they built the boys' school next door. And this would be the side of the hall, original windows and original doors. And this would be the kitchen area, and just the back of the kitchen area. And this building doesn't state anything about it when it was built, but I believe it belongs to the girls' school. The boys' school is over here. This was all built 1957. If we look at the boys' school from the entrance, which was built in 95, you see a complete difference in style of building. Very modern, long glass corridor. I've never been inside myself, but it's meant to be very modern. So you can see very modern, pretty much standard of the 90s. Well, in the distance you've got the girls' school, which is noticeably quite a few years older. I believe that in there would be the kitchen as well up here. So yeah, it's probably one of my favourite designs locally, but it's one of the earlier concealeds. So I don't know if there'd be anything original in there, but there's a good strong chance of some of it surviving, I think. So that's basically the Glenmore School for Girls, which was of course in this plan here. And now we move on. Right, the next plan I'm showing you is actually on 2 pages. It's a scan from a book in the library, which you can pretty much work out it was actually a book. And this is the college at the Lansdowne, which was at the time known as the Bournemouth Municipal College. Unfortunately this plan's a little bit blurred, so it's quite hard to really work out the bits, but you can pretty much work things out fairly well. If I try and move the phone around a bit. This is a plan from 1957 which shows the extension, which is this part here. Basically this building all the way along here, that was the extension, but it also shows the original part from 1913, which is here. The original entrance was up here, right up a series of steps onto the upper ground floor, which is the first floor, which is up here. And the building's kind of sort of built on a, not a hill-like arrangement, but it's raised slightly. And there's also a top floor as well, a second floor, which is pretty much over here. Now it's quite a blurred plan, but it's quite interesting, so I know what I'm looking at. Now this new building is pretty much, the main entrance is actually directly here through this door. It wasn't the main entrance. That there seems to be a common room in where the main reception is, and a couple of science rooms and what's now just general rooms. Unfortunately, one part of this plan, the toilets are quite blurred, you can't actually see them. Well, I'm zooming right into them the best I can, but I basically described this little section. The female toilets have 6 WCs, 5 of which were concealed, 1 of which was not. The men's had concealed urinals. You can see the duct there, the little passageway, which is, well, where I'm trying to point my finger at. They had all the urinals concealed, 1 WC concealed, 1 not concealed. Okay, and that was on the ground floor and on the second floor, which is just as blurred. You can't really see anything, so I'm not going to try to. The first floor, which is the one in the middle, they had 5, in the ladies they had 5 concealed toilets, and the men's had concealed urinals and a concealed WC, but they had no exposed WCs whatsoever. Now there's a reason for that, why there was 1 exposed, simply because if the duct went all the way along to the end wall, the windows on the either side would have to be slightly smaller. That's the only way I can work it out. So it basically left us with some concealed and some not concealed. Now the toilets on the ground floor were refurbished, I think, late 80s, early 90s. I did film them last year, but the ones on the top floor, the second floor, were original. Now the concealed toilet, I couldn't tell what was behind the wall, but the exposed one was a ceramic high level. It actually looked quite Victorian. It's from 1957, but it looked quite Victorian, so I was quite gutted when they took that out. They got rid of it in 2004, did a complete refurb. Okay, I'll take the plan off, turn my computer back on, and we'll have a look at the building. So we'll look at it from above. So this is basically the original part, and the 1957 building is this part along here. What we'll do is we'll have a look from the side, and the main entrance is down there. We'll do a zoom in. It's been modernised since. This was in July 2012. It's modernised literally a month or so afterwards. It's slightly blurred, but you can see the female toilets, the windows open. So it's this floor, modernised late 80s. The top floor, which we can't see, it's through a tree, they were modernised 2004. Now outside of these there used to be a little storeroom, and in late 2003, when I was a student at the college, they turned that little storeroom into a disabled toilet, and they needed a little overflow, obviously, to go outside. And how they done that was quite simple. That's the original part, by the way, quite an old picture, but yeah, so basically the overflow went through the duct, and I went into the male toilets, and the door to the duct was open, and it revealed what was concealed in the female toilets was a flushing trough. Now it was the first time, and once of only twice, I've ever seen a concealed flushing trough. I was actually, well, I was quite astounded to really see it. I'd only ever seen concealed high levels once before, and they were the Shires over in Parkstone, where I'm from. But yeah, so that was quite exciting, really. And they modernised that in 2004, so that's gone now. But the floor between them, which is the first floor, I managed to see through the open doorway once. I took a very cheeky look of the females, and that reveals there was no exposed toilet, there's 5 concealed toilets, and I believe there might be a concealed flushing trough behind there, which would be up in this section somewhere. And I'm trying to do everything I can to get in there. Haven't had any luck yet, but I'm working on it. But as for the male toilets on that floor, they were converted into an office maybe 20 years ago. But the female should be original, so I think there is still a concealed flushing trough in there, and I want to get inside there to film it, so I'm working on that one. So yeah, I'll keep everyone posted on that one. Right, what we're looking at now is literally a sketch drawing of what a concealed flushing trough looks like. It's not to scale, it's just a sketch I just drawn a moment ago. As you can see, the pipes go through the wall. The WC pan will be on the other side, going up into the trough just as usual. And there's a little, the handle will go here. Now it's attached to a lead bar, not a chain, a lead bar, and it's the only time I've ever seen this arrangement. And I believe when you pull the handle down, you pull the lead bar down, which activates a couple of other bars which gradually pull the thing up in the timer box. You can just about work out I included the timer boxes, and it flushes just like any normal one. Okay, that's the only time I've ever seen any concealed toilets actually designed purposely to be concealed without the chains. Now, the only other time I've seen a concealed flushing trough was late 2004. I was in the swimming pool in Poole. I wasn't actually swimming because I don't do swimming. But what they've got is upstairs there's a set of toilets. So I used them, went upstairs, and I did film them 2011, I think. It's all 70s, very original stuff in there, but it's all concealed. And there's a little door to the duct, and I took my chance, tried to open it, and couldn't believe my luck. I pulled the door open, and it was open, and it revealed another flushing trough, concealed from the ladies, but this time it had chains. Okay, so there were 2 different usages of well, 2 different variances of the concealed flushing trough. This trough itself would have been the same, different in length, but one used lead bars, the other used chains. Okay, now the concealed flushing trough that I'm showing you here is the one that was at the college, which would be from 1957. The one I saw at the swimming pool was from 1974. So there's a slight difference in age there, but from what we know, the flushing trough lasted about 50 years, from mid-30s to 80s, maybe even later. We don't know because I haven't found out who developed them yet. I've got a name, but that's as much as I'm going on. That's basically a basic sketch drawing of a flushing trough that was served 4 WCs. The one I saw would have served 5. It's possible they do have ones as long as 5, otherwise it might be 1 or 3 and 1 for 2. But that's basic sketch drawing, but that's what it looks like. Now it's quite strange because whenever you look at concealed toilets from behind, they always look quite odd. I find it a bit eerie, and I find it a bit strange. I couldn't go into a duct by myself, funnily enough. Everything feels like it's the wrong way round. The walls aren't plastered or painted or anything, but there's something very magnificent about that. Something that's quite hard to describe. Sort of, you just basically see it there. It looks a bit lonely, but it looks mechanical as well. It's quite cleverly designed. It's probably the greatest cistern of all of them, basically. And there it was, just sort of concealed behind a wall without anyone really seeing it too much. So that's probably one of my luckiest finds, really. Didn't do any filming back then, didn't have a camera phone, but if I could film it, I definitely would do, and I'm working on that right now, actually. So hopefully at some point this year I might be able to film one. Right, now we're back on Google Street View, and the place I'm showing you here is in San Francisco, so across the world this time. It's a little set of restrooms, Art Deco style, basically a round building with a little viewing gallery upstairs, and the men's were in this section here. It was quite different to some of the American restrooms that I've actually seen. I think the entrance was in there. They felt quite old-fashioned, very much original. Look at it from another view. They felt very original. They had yellowish tiles. the wash basin didn't have a tap in it, or a faucet, that's what the Americans call it. There's some old style urinals similar to ones in the UK, but with flusher meters attached to them, but markings of where an individual cistern would have been. And there are two toilets in there, WCs, which were concealed. This was quite clearly built in the 30s, and that goes to show that in America they actually had concealed toilets quite a few years earlier than in the UK. They were probably high level concealed. One had a stainless steel pan, I think, or maybe both of them did. But they had sort of like a handle that was different to ones we would have in the UK, but it served the same purpose. And there was a door going into that space. I've no idea what's behind there. But this restroom, which, looking from above, there was actually two of them. The other one was in a slightly better condition, and that one's over here. We might be able to zoom in on it, I hope. But they're very much the same. This one actually had a tap, but yeah, that seems to have an ice cream kiosk thing in there, but other than that they were pretty much the same. Well, I hope they're still open actually. I wouldn't know, so I haven't been there since 2006, but yeah, this was the only time I'd ever seen that. Well, no, sorry, in New York as well. I saw some toilets in Central Park in New York as well, which were concealed. They had very similar handles and very short to the ones I saw in these. I can't really remember now, it's 2006, and I didn't really take any notice of concealed ones really, because I was expecting flusher meters and that being America, but the passageway behind the toilets or restrooms in Central Park, it was open, but it was used as storage for all the drinks for the food kiosks, so I couldn't see any cisterns in there. But it does show that America does still have high level concealed, or at least concealed anyway, and they probably did before we did in the UK. So that's basically San Francisco. But yeah, they did remind me a bit of the ones we get in the UK, but just concealed basically. Right, okay, another plan now. This is a plan from Poole Borough Council from February 1982, showing a new set of public toilets that were to be built in Branksome. There's a plan of it. I remember these ones quite well. They were obviously built in 1982, and they're part of a new development that was built in the old, what was the Redlands Pipes Works in Branksome, demolished before I was born. It used to be the Bourne Valley Pottery. And we'll have a little zoom in. I'll show you the area. It's quite close to where I used to live, in Branksome, in Poole. And you can see this section from above. And it was all redeveloped to be basically large superstores like home base, furniture outlets, those sort of kind of places. It's been modernised since. There's the home base. The other side we've got a John Lewis now. This bit of road is Poole Road, and this is Ashley Road. Now, I was doing a little bit of reading in one of my local history books, which states the history of Upper Parkstone, and I read something. It's only a small book, but I read something that I can't remember reading before. I might have read it, but it says there used to be underground toilets right opposite, in Ashley Road, opposite the Bourne Valley Pottery, which would have been just about here, possibly. If you look above, you can see that the road was rebuilt with a new roundabout, and they built a new road. The pottery buildings, which was later the pipeworks, came down to here, I presume. The old Ashley Road ran along here, so the underground toilets were probably here, or here, anywhere along here. They might have been here, perhaps, somewhere around that time. But obviously they built a new road, so they had to go, unfortunately. Couldn't tell you what they were like, but that's the only time I've ever known of any underground toilets ever existing in Poole, basically. There might have been one other one in the town centre. I found no evidence of it yet. So I was quite excited to read that. Victorian, yeah, it'd probably be all the Victorian stuff, white tiles, ceramic urinals, high levels. Couldn't tell you what was in there. But yeah, they redeveloped it, so they built a new set of toilets, which would be here, but unfortunately in 2008 they demolished those ones and put one of these ghastly little ones up on the site, which you probably recognise from one of my videos. one of these nasty little buildings. They only cost 10p, but impossible to get into them. Well, it looks like the lights are on here, so it looks like they're working. But yeah, that's all you've got now, so a considerable downsize, really. But we'll go back and have a look at the plan. And this basically shows the 1980s version, which was probably a downsize of the Victorians, but you had a separate men's, you had a separate ladies, and you had a separate disabled. The men's had one WC, stainless steel urinal. The pan was probably replaced a few times. I remember it was sort of being damaged at one point. They weren't in good condition, they were pretty dull, but that's a basic sketch of the building. Now we go on to the next page. We've got very detailed. And this is the most detailed I've ever seen of a plan, basically. This looks at the men's from the side. You can just about see in here WC, stainless steel urinal, the wall gate unit. And that, I remember, the roof went up and was pitched, basically. So it's got all the details, building stuff. And then most interestingly, if we try and zoom in, it basically has details of the fittings. I've never seen this in any other plan before. So it basically describes the WC. It was going to be a Twyford's, and it's even got the reference number for the Twyford's. Standard slab urinal, stainless steel by, is that Constant, was it? Consenter or something? So it's a stainless steel urinal, but they still called it a slab, which is unusual. Here you can see the duct along here. It got the wall gate unit, hand wash unit model FMX by Wallgate, and here it's got the ladies WCs would have had the exact same pan as the men's, and then here it had high level plastic Shires links, 9 litre flushing cisterns to WCs, fixed in duct also to urinal, which means all the WCs would have had Shires, so it'd been concealed Shires links basically. Shires still around 1982, but they've been used to be concealed. Urinal would have also had concealed Shires. So that's probably the most detailed plan of anything I've ever seen. It's quite exciting actually. That's looking on the female side, so, and that's the location. As you can see there, the road was being relaid out. You can see looking into the duct, it doesn't show where the cisterns would be, but yeah, they were going to be high levels, so it's a road plan. That's looking from above. So the old toilets must have been around about here somewhere. Yeah, because that's where the old road went through. And that's the little building, which they sadly replaced with that ghastly modern building. Okay, so that's quite an interesting plan actually. So I've saved that onto my computer, and I've got a couple of other plans as well which are worth a look. They're all in a folder somewhere in my documents, which simply called plans, where they're all been saved. I've got quite a few schools. I won't show them all now, but it's another one. I think it's this one. No, that is one, but we'll come back to that one in the middle. Yeah, we'll come back to that one. Right, I found the plan I'm looking for. It's in Hamworthy Park. This was filmed by myself in late 2012, so just over a year ago. And it's a little pavilion basically, attached to a pavilion, which is a restaurant. Little cafe sort of building, and they were going to basically provide a little extension and a bit of remodelling. This is how it had basically been before. This plan is also from 1982, so similar to one in Branksome, and this is basically how it was laid out before. So it was concealed, and they called the duct here services. You've got the gents WC urinal here, a disabled, and the ladies 3 WCs, but you notice the door into the duct goes here. 2 of the toilets would have been concealed, but 1 would have not, so they were partially concealed. It seems a bit pointless. If you're going to conceal them, you might as well conceal them all. Did they even need the duct? Well, you know, I mean, it was, I'll probably say, well, it's not a badly designed building, but I reckon this was actually built as an extension earlier with a duct to conceal the original ones, but they couldn't find space to conceal that one. I don't know. But that was the before, how it was before 1982. And we'll just scroll down onto the next page and we'll find the new plan, which is detailed, not as detailed as the other one, which shows the cafe. A few changes were taking place this area. And here, as you can see, we've got the new arrangement, which was literally provided an extension up here, which I don't quite see exactly what it was in aid of. But they would extend the Mel's WC, which explains why it was so large. It's basically mentioning what the tiles are: glazed tile walls, semi vitrified floor tiles. You've got a wall gate model. There's a disabled in here. Even the handrails are marked, and here you've got the services. And quite interestingly, when I first came across the plan, it wasn't zoomed in. It's from a distance, this distance here. Looked in the services, and quite interestingly, I saw this little shape. A little shape behind the ladies, which are all to be concealed now. I might as well mention that the duct has been rebuilt and all the ladies concealed. And I noticed this little shape, a long shape, and I saw words which pretty much recognised quite well. If we zoom in, there it is. It's quite obvious. And that itself is the only time I've seen a Flushing Trough in an official plan. Considering it's from 1982, it goes to show that the Flushing Trough was still being used at the time. So rather like the similar aged, well, very much the same aged ones at Branksome, they've chosen a cistern already. Cisterns obviously for the disabled and urinal would just be single ones. They forgot to mark one for the men's, but it's obviously in there. It's twisted pipe, I should know because I filmed it. Doesn't say if these are high level concealed. They might well be. Obviously the urinal one would be. But yeah, it's a concealed Flushing Trough in the ladies. So we've gone from 1957 to 1974 and now 1982. They were still having Flushing Troughs being concealed at the time. So yeah, this is from 1982. I'm trying to find the date of it. I forgot the date. It's not the exact same time, and whoever was designing this little extension, trying to find all the details here. Yeah, August 1982. So it says received August 1982. So that's quite a few months after the one from February 1982. But it goes to show that they were still concealing high levels and Flushing Troughs in the early 80s. There's two other plans I've discovered of public toilets from Poole as well. From another one from 1982, which I think was I think it was October. And these are the ones down Sandbanks, down by the seafront. When I was down there last summer, I actually managed to the back door was open and I managed to do a bit of filming. I think I took that one off actually. It was only like a 20-second filming, but they were all low levels. Concealed low levels, white cisterns, but there was a concealed high level in there which was part of the ladies as well, which was a bit mysterious. Right, here we are. I found the video now. Yeah, I filmed it. It was just by chance, and as you can see there's a concealed low level. This is also from 1982, but the building feels slightly more modern in some ways. The ones in Branksome were probably clinging on to the 70s a bit. These ones were moving on through the 80s. It might be a little bit blurred. Turn the... There we are, the concealed high level. And if we go back and try and pause it. What's going on? Hold on. Yeah, there we are. You see a concealed high level, which was, I think it was a stray one, unless there was another one there. I couldn't quite see. The chain was here. So it's quite mysterious. So there was a mixture of concealed high levels and low levels in one setting from the early 80s as well. and this one's from one of my own pictures. This one's along the seafront again, Branksome Chine Way. I have seen the plan for it, and these ones were built in 1983. The back door's left open one day. I've been inside. I did do a bit of filming in them before. Wasn't overly exciting video, but I noticed the handles were really low down. Now I basically went round the back to get clues, and the door was open. There was a guy there, and he was probably doing a bit of maintenance or cleaning or something. As you see, it's basically used as a storeroom, well as basically being a duct. I spoke to a guy who said, "Oh, can I get a few pictures?" Didn't speak a word of English, but yeah, he didn't mind me taking pictures of them. Couldn't really film them, and well, so there wasn't really any point really. I thought I'd just basically take a few pictures. You can actually see his finger there as well. But yeah, it was these low-level Dudleys basically. And if we go back to the previous one, you notice it's actually set up like a high level. Okay, but this bit here, this is like a plastic bit of string, so it's like a plastic chain which goes into the handle. Okay, it's the only time I've ever seen it myself, but it's quite interesting. Yeah, they're Dudley choice shells. They're probably likely to be originals. I mean, I can't see any markings. I didn't get a feeling there was any older high levels, concealed high levels there. There don't seem to be any holes in the walls where the previous handle might have been. The tiles on the other side seem to be of their time. So yeah, I don't think there's any changes. The urinal cistern you can't see, it's up here, and it was a black cistern, probably a Shires, but here they went for low level concealed with white Dudleys. So they'd moved from a few months of having concealed Shires, lynxes and Flushing Troughs to going for white cisterns and moving them at low levels. So it was quite a fast moving era really. It's quite hard to keep up with basically, but just have a look. That's basically a concealed low level arrangement. I couldn't go in there by myself. I'd have to have somebody stand there with me. But it's quite exciting as well when I went up to, that's actually a bit of rope or something actually, that one. Yeah, I went up to the guy, I went up to the door, saw the guy come out, and I quickly stopped him and took my chance to get a few pictures, and there we have it basically. Right, this picture here you might have seen before. This one's not my picture, I found it on the internet, and it's all concealed Shires lynxes. If you go down and have a look, obviously it goes right down through the wall, and they're all concealed. They're basically just Shires lynx cisterns, just with extended chains. These I believe have been repaired. Notice how tidy the duct is. It's basically, you can't see too much. There's a light, probably an original, but it's really clean. I reckon this has all been repaired. And another little giveaway, it might be repaired. This here, this would be the lever device. So you push the lever in. These should be attached. They've been unattached at the time, but the chain should be attached to it. So when you push the lever in, literally going that way, this will pull the chain in and downwards, and that's how it basically works. That's what the lever device looks like from behind. This one here looks like needs to be fixed up a little bit more as well. Okay, so that's basically what a concealed Shires are, but they're definitely Shires lynx. You can see the usual logo on all of them, and you might not be able to see it too clearly, but you can actually see reflecting. I think you can work it out. You can actually see reflection of Shires on the other side as well. Okay, so that's quite an interesting one. Try and have a look through. That one's not one of mine. That one's a prison toilet in Eastbourne. I took that picture just to embarrass the council. Absolutely ghastly. They replaced high levels. That one's the Flushing Trough one. I'm going to come back to this one another time. That's an old picture. That's not mine, but I will come back to that one. These are all going through my pictures actually. The one I'm trying to go through is this one up here. Yeah, this is another concealed Shires. It's in the duct, and it seems to have this kind of I don't know what you call it. It's like it's been sort of boxed in a little insulation sort of like unit with fiberglass of some sort around it. You can see the pipes up, and this light here, this would be the air vent. So this is in a duct. It's a concealed Shires, a Shires lynx. It might even be a urinal cistern actually. You can't actually see a chain coming out of it. But yes, that's another picture of the concealed. It's in one of my, this is basically a few pictures I've got. Most of them are from the internet, some of them are my own. Like you probably remember this one. But I will come back to these. Especially that one. It's a Flushing Trough. It's not concealed, but that's obviously a story for another day, so we'll definitely come back to that one. But I've got quite a few interesting ones in here actually. These ones are worth a mention as well, which I'd like to talk about. These ones also from 1957, but we'll come back to that one at another time basically. Right, now we're back on YouTube and basically looking at a video on my channel. These are the public toilets in Wareham, which I filmed in August 2012. Quite clearly it's another concealed. These ones I don't think they've changed much since they were built actually. You can basically see the walls kind of, the paint has cracked away a bit, revealing the original colours. It's a blue wall with these black speckles in. Now I've seen this quite a few times, not in quite a long time, but it seems to be common 50s, 60s, 70s, even into the 80s in some old public toilets. Toilets at my school used to have them before their hideous 99 refurb. When they repainted them, they had a similar repainting but a bit lighter. But these were basically concealed toilets, undoubtedly high levels. You can see I tried to look in the air vent, couldn't hear anything, but you get quite a powerful flush off here. So yeah, quite clearly high levels. Okay, and then this was I found this one here in the disabled, so maybe it didn't flush it. But quite interestingly, notice how close the handle is next to where the pipe would be. The pipe would be going up here. I'll explain that a bit more clearly in a minute in a slightly cleaner video. But yeah, so we got quite a good flush of it though. A bit temperamental that one was, wasn't it? But yeah, these ones here, they've interested me for quite a few years actually. We go back on, we go back on Google Earth. We'll have a look at them from the outside in Wareham, which is up here somewhere. They're right down by the riverside, and I don't think they've changed in years, to be honest with you. So we have a little look. But yeah, there they are. So men's on this side, ladies here. A window here seems to have these tiles in, which I caught on film, which shows an old map of Wareham built in. You can even work out a high level on the ladies' side, an overflow sorry on the ladies' side, but not on the men's side. The duct would obviously be in here. Now, looking above, so it looks up in here, you can see there are skylights looking directly above the building, not on the ladies' side for some reason, also some in the duct. The urinal here is a slab, a very old slab, and the door's at the end, which would take us right in to quite a wide space and then a more narrow space. Very eager to see inside that one. So maybe one day we'd be lucky, unless they refurbish them before I get a chance to go to them. There's another one I went to last year. It's Corfe Castle, which down here, the very historic village of Corfe Castle. We found a high level at the railway station, which was being a bit difficult that day. But I found see, where's that car park? There were some nice toilets in the car park actually, concealed again. I gave them an award. They were probably my favourite concealeds last year. I've got lost in a village. It's a very small village, not easy to get lost in, but can't find where the location of them was actually. I think it was down here. It was down here, wasn't it? Down this lane here. Yeah, this is one. And this sort of little building here. Trying to have a look at the side. And this is probably similar age. These ones and the ones in Wareham, probably late 50s, early 60s. They're built with the local Portland stone, which is quite characteristic of the area. Yeah, quite a nice one, and not really any changes since they were built actually. Right, and here's the video. So Basically that's the castle in the distance, which I always do this. I always do outside shots to get a feel of the area. And there we are, sort of the usual video going inside. You can see the brickwork quite close up. You see a slab. And I think we've got quite good flushes of these ones as well. Definitely concealed high levels. That one wasn't too clean, was it? Was it actually? Sometimes you see the water looks yellow even if it's clean, which I find could be a bit misleading. It makes your videos look a little bit dirtier than they really are, which is annoying, but yeah, so that's a very classic high level there. It's concealed, unfortunately. I couldn't say what's behind the wall, but and then of course you notice this, the pipe's extended inwards, which will take me to the next video that I'll be right. Now this one's Beta in Poole, which I filmed in April 2012. It's probably my favourite of the local. It's probably my local favourite of the concealeds actually. I can't find the original plans, but I did find the file, which is from 1977-78, so probably built around 78. It's a high level concealed quite obviously, and it's the one that I've probably not studied the most, but it's the one that I've in a way it's one I'd use as probably a good example. So there, as you see, you've got the wall gate unit. You can see the slabs. Blue tiles. These haven't changed much since they were built actually. Turn the volume up on it. And what I did here, you see, one thing you'd probably notice in some situations, the handle's the wrong way round, and I basically explained that. And you watch how I explained it. Pipe's extended inwards, pipe goes all the way up the wall as usual in the duct, then it would stop at the top, and then of course that'd be the end of the cistern, that'd be the top end, and then of course the chain comes out and drops right down to there basically. So if the handle's the other way round, it will hit the wall, it would not work. So that basically explains that if the handle's that way round, you pretty much guarantee the high level, whereas if it was a low level, the handle will go straight through the wall into the cistern, the handle will be located here, which it's not obviously. It's quite a springy feel as well, which is another hint of it being a high level, and of course a powerful flush as well. So Twyford's that one. Quite a decent flush. I love the sound. The sound was very strong sound as well, you see, and I got that off both of them, the two ones I filmed. We'll have a look at Beta actually. We'll have a look at it from the outside. It was quite similar in design to the ones in Branksome. Quite similar looks, quite similar to ones in Parkstone as well, but with pitched roofs. It's quite typical of the ones of the late 70s built in Poole at the time. And there we are, it's this little building here. It was built probably about 10 years before the housing development was built actually. And there we have it, pitched roofs you see. This type of tileage was quite typical of late 70s, early 80s. Metal framed windows, simple sort of brickworks really. And you notice it's quite a long building. Okay. It's slightly blurred, but don't need to worry about that. And you notice there's a little door at the back here. Now I always thought that was the access to the duct basically. For years I was hoping to see that door open. A couple of months ago I walked past, believe it or not, the door was open. I went up, had a close look from a safe distance, and basically all I saw was a few electric meters. That is not the duct in there basically. It's probably a local electricity generator sort of unit basically. So the duct would be here, it'd be separate, that'd be the air vent for it. The door and the walls stop here. So the duct is basically accessible either from the ladies or the disabled, which would be the disabled there and the ladies around the other side. So I was a bit disappointed really, but they wouldn't have electrics and plumbing fittings in the same place so yeah, I'd waited for years to see that door open. When I finally saw it open, it didn't have what I was looking for, but